Chapter 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ha! Finally, my consciousness has adapted to this fragile body. It's really troublesome to be reborn in such a world with a desert of spiritual energy. Li Chengyu is a reborn person, and this is not his first rebirth. Before this, he has been reborn 999 times. Every time he is reborn, not only will Li Chengyu's memory not dissipate, but even the powerful spiritual consciousness he has cultivated in the past can be retained. Even in each reincarnation process, his consciousness will be refined and become stronger. However, although the powerful consciousness can provide great assistance to Li Chengyu in some immortal worlds, thus, he can go further on the immortal path and become stronger. However, if he is reborn in a world with thin spiritual energy like the current one, it will be difficult to wake up, because only a strong enough physical body can carry his consciousness that was once cultivated to the peak of Xian. Li Chengyu has been reborn in this world for 18 years, since he was born in his mother's womb. He has been practicing hard. He improved his talent through top-level skills while constantly improving his strength. He can be said to be a model of cultivating immortals from the womb. During this period, in order to avoid the overly powerful divine consciousness that would burst his body, in order to improve his strength as soon as possible, Li Chengyu only retained the most basic spiritual consciousness to control his body. Most of the other divine consciousnesses were devoted to practicing the top-level skills obtained in the immortal world of a certain life, the heaven and earth. I am the only one. This also caused Li Chengyu's IQ level to be below that of normal people in the past 18 years. No matter what he did, he would be half a beat slower. No matter how hard he tried, his academic performance could not be improved. Fortunately, everything is over. Through 18 years of uninterrupted hard practice, he not only laid a solid foundation for the immortal way, but also finally raised his cultivation level to the foundation building stage. Although at this stage, Li Chengyu's body can still only accommodate a trace of his spiritual consciousness, and most of his spiritual thoughts can only shrink in the sea of consciousness, but at least he can stay awake. Don't worry about the situation where the spiritual thoughts will burst the body if you are not careful. Alas! If I change to a world with a slightly richer spiritual energy, I can practice to the foundation building stage in 3 years at most. But in such a world with extremely scarce spiritual energy, the foundation building stage has reached its peak. The spiritual energy here is not enough to support me to practice to a higher level. Unless the spiritual energy is revived, I can only stay in the foundation building stage forever. But the probability of spiritual energy reviving is really too small. In the 999 reincarnations in the past, there was only one world that had such a history in ancient times. And will I happen to encounter it in this life? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Li Chengyu shook his head and gave up the unrealistic fantasy in his heart. Master, are you hungry? I have a roast chicken prepared in advance this morning. You can eat it after class. A soft and pleasant voice came from the side, interrupting his thoughts. The speaker was Li Chengyu's maid Yunman, who was also the bodyguard arranged by the family for him. Don't be fooled by her weak appearance, but she actually has a good strength. Ordinary 7 or 8 big men are not her opponents at all. Her cultivation has entered the Mingjin stage. The two are now in a spacious and bright classroom. The teacher on the stage is talking very happily. And among the nearly 30 students in the audience, a small half of them are lying on the desks and sleeping soundly. Some other students are also talking enthusiastically, but they are not talking about the knowledge in the textbooks, but just talking about interesting things in their lives. Yunman, I'm not hungry now. Li Chengyu said to his maid with a smile. Oh. She replied softly. There was a little surprise in her eyes. She felt that her young master seemed to be a little different from before, but she couldn't think of what was different for a while. She simply stopped thinking about it. Yunman once again turned her attention to the teacher who was giving the lecture and listened to the class carefully. She wrote and drew from time to time and took notes in class. The Chengyu Middle School where Li Chengyu is currently studying is the top private aristocratic middle school in the entire Magic City, with the best teaching quality. To enroll, you need pay an expensive fee that makes ordinary families astonished. although almost all students in their class did not listen to the class. That was because Li Qingyu's class 313 was one of the few poor students in the whole school. It basically gathered all the poor students of the same grade. Su Yunman should not have been assigned to such a class. But her mission to come to this school was to accompany Li Qingyu, take care of his life in school, and avoid any problems, so she could only stay in class 313 with him. Fortunately, the poor students in Chengyu Middle School were only poor in the poor students class, and the level of the teachers was still quite online. As long as she could calm down, it would not have too much impact on her studies. How should I spend my time in this reincarnation? Li Qingyu flipped through his textbooks casually while making plans for his future. His textbooks were very neat, but not clean. Because he had recorded dense notes on all the courses he had learned before, Li Qingyu devoted himself to cultivation, leaving only the most basic consciousness to control his body and barely maintain a normal life. This external situation made people around him think that except for his slightly lower intelligence, he was simply a good boy, and a positive boy. He listened to his parents' advice since he was young and never made trouble in life, even though his academic performance was very poor. He gritted his teeth and persisted. Such Li Qingyu made his family feel very distressed and cared for him. Even though they knew that he would not achieve much in his studies, they still sent him to Chengyu Middle School, which had the best teaching quality, and arranged for Su Yunman to come with him. Since in this life, due to the thin spiritual energy of heaven and earth, I have stopped at the foundation building stage on the path to immortality. Then let's have a good rest and enjoy ourselves. After all, I worked hard for hundreds of thousands of years in my last life, and I never stopped. I was really exhausted. After thinking for a few breaths, Li Qingyu set a plan for his future life in this life. Chapter 2. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Li Qingyu's previous life was extraordinary. The heaven and earth there were filled with extremely rich spiritual energy, and the immortal way was also very prosperous. The 3 great caves, 7 blessed places, 10 immortal mountains, 28 aristocratic families, etc., all competed for it. Li Qingyu, relying on his peerless talent cultivated since his mother's womb, was admitted to the Qingshu cave heaven among the 3 great caves, and became the first holy son in the cave heaven. He practiced the supreme skills of Qingshu cave heaven on the surface, but secretly practiced the unique skills of heaven and earth. Then, with the help of various precious cultivation resources provided by the cave heaven, it only took more than 1,000 years to cultivate to the tribulation period. Li Qingyu's cultivation speed broke the records of that cultivation world again and again. Many other peerless geniuses who thought highly of themselves were almost shut down during this period. There were also various hostile forces plotting, sneaking and assassinating, trying to strangle Li Qingyu in the cradle. However, he had been reincarnated 998 times and lived for a long time. He could see through any conspiracy at a glance, and even easily implement counterplots to make the opponent fall into an irretrievable place. As for sneak attacks and assassinations, the power of the I am the only one in heaven and earth skill, combined with Li Qingyu's extremely rich combat experience, made it easy to challenge the higher level and withstand cross-level battles. Counterattacks were his routine operations, killing the hostile forces in a bloody river without leaving a single piece of armor. In the previous life, Li Qingyu was 1,300 years old when he passed the tribulation and ascended to heaven. All the famous figures in the world of immortal cultivation came to watch the ceremony. Watching him, the most powerful and toughest genius in history, ascend to the upper realm. And after ascending, Li Qingyu's toughness also continued. Except for the beginning, he survived for a few years. Later, relying on the power of the I am the only one in heaven and earth skill, as well as rich experience and hard practice, he reached the Xianxian realm and stood at the top of this fairyland plain. But at this time, Li Qingyu's road of practice has basically come to an end. In this plane, the cultivators in the Xianxian realm are also called immortal emperors. They are the most powerful existences in this fairyland and enjoy a lifespan of 1 million years. Of course, 1 million years is just an extreme value. Ordinary Xianxian can only live for 800,000 to 900,000 years before they will usher in the 5 decays of heaven and man. And Li Qingyu's greatest wish is to hope that one day he can break through to the realm above Xianxian and cultivate into an eternal and immortal golden immortal. Even if this world is not successful, he must continue to move towards the goal in the subsequent reincarnations. but he didn't expect that the opportunity would come so soon, when Li Chengyu was more than 620,000 years old and had wasted many years at the peak of Xianxian. A major event happened in this plane. In the sky outside the sky, there was a strange phenomenon of 9 stars in a row, accompanied by the earth-shaking vibration. A cemetery from ancient times suddenly stood on the edge of the upper world. Everyone went crazy, including Li Chengyu, who had always been extremely steady. Everyone entered the cemetery to search for treasures as quickly as possible. During this period, not only did they have to avoid the extremely powerful traps in the cemetery, but they also had to fight with other immortals and emperors. In the end, Li Chengyu relied on his peak cultivation realm of Xianxian, rich fighting experience, cunning strategies and tactics, and at the cost of being seriously injured, he obtained the strongest treasure in the cemetery, an ancient jade pendant. After successfully escaping from the ancient cemetery, he did not return to the imperial palace where he used to live. Instead, he lurked in the desolate land, retreated and practiced, and worked hard to study and refine this jade pendant. Li Chengyu found that this serious injury was not in vain. The jade pendant he obtained with all his skills was indeed extraordinary, and it turned out to be the legendary innate spiritual treasure. The treasures on the immortal road can be roughly divided into different grades: ordinary weapons, magic tools, spiritual tools, immortal tools, acquired spiritual treasures, innate spiritual treasures, innate treasures, etc. When Li Chengyu spent more than 8,000 years at the peak of Xianxian cultivation, he finally refined the first layer of innate restrictions in the spiritual treasures, and also learned the information of this jade pendant. It is called Qianquan Baoyu, which contains 36 innate restrictions and belongs to the ranks of top-grade innate spiritual treasures. Don't look at it as just a top-grade innate spiritual treasure, but in essence, it is far better than those top-grade acquired spiritual treasures. It is not comparable to the immortal tools in this immortal world, but after Li Chengyu learned more information about Qianquan Baoyu, he was a little helpless, because its function is very single. It can neither be used for attack, nor for defense, nor for assisting practice. The only valuable thing is that it is imprinted with a top-notch practice method, Tian Suan Jing. Speaking of the plate, when the ancients created the world and transformed themselves into all things in the prehistoric world, the laws of the great Tao were revealed, and a Taoist text appeared in the sky above the prehistoric world. After Panga died, a piece of his sternum actually automatically recorded and saved this Taoist text, and eventually turned into the Qianquan jade. I just don't know what happened later, so that it came to the cemetery of ancient strongmen in this fairyland plain after a long time. Originally, Li Chengyu obtained such a powerful cultivation method. He should be so happy that he shed tears and couldn't help himself, but this method is really too powerful, and the entry requirements are also frighteningly high. It actually needs a wisp of chaotic aura as a primer to make the method work normally, but although the plane where Li Chengyu is located belongs to the fairyland with extremely rich aura, but let alone chaotic aura, even innate aura is extremely difficult to obtain. Moreover, even if he found the chaotic spiritual energy, he would not be able to refine it unless he reached the level of Daoyuo Jingxian, earthly immortal, heavenly immortal, true immortal, mysterious immortal, golden immortal, Tai Jingxian, Daoyuo Jingxian. Li Chengyu's current Xianxian is still a few realms away from Daoyuo Jingxian. After thinking about it, he could never cultivate this supreme Qianquan Jing unless he happened to encounter the revival of spiritual energy. When the world re-evolved, extremely rare flexible chaotic spiritual energy would be born, suitable for all living things to absorb, and any living being who absorbed this flexible chaotic spiritual energy would have great luck and become the protagonist in the plane where the spiritual energy was revived. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Li Chengyu, who had been reborn nearly 1,000 times, had never encountered such a good thing as the revival of spiritual energy. The probability was too small. Sure enough, in the next 200,000 years, no matter how hard he studied the Qianquan Sutra and tried to skip the step of chaos aura to practice, he could never get started. Li Chengyu eventually had to waste his time and grow old with regret, and was reborn again. Chapter 3. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Ding-ling-ling. A pleasant bell sounded in the campus, interrupting Li Chengyu's memories. Oh, the get out of class is finally over. I had such a comfortable sleep. Let's go play ball. 10 minutes of chicken feather ball. The classroom, which was originally quite quiet, suddenly became lively. The teacher, who wanted to say a few more words on the stage, smiled self-deprecatingly at everyone coming to life, then he put down the chalk in his hand and walked out with his lesson plan. "Master, here." Li Chengyu's neighbor Su Yunman took out a thick lunch box from the drawer. She opened the lid of the box, revealing a carefully cooked roast chicken inside, and handed it to him gently. "Yunman, I'm not hungry today. Eat it when you go to the cafeteria at noon." Li Chengyu did not take the lunch box and said with a smile, in the past, when he immersed his mind in cultivation and worked hard to improve his cultivation, his diet was indeed a bit exaggerated. For this reason, his mother specifically ordered the kitchen to prepare 2 extra cooked meals every morning for Su Yunman to take to school, so that the younger son could satisfy his cravings during the break. But now, Li Chengyu has broken through to the foundation building stage and awakened his dormant mind. The habit of eating multiple meals a day naturally no longer exists. He can even rely on his cultivation to fast for a week or 2 without any problem. Su Yunman was a little surprised at Li Chengyu's behavior today. The young master seemed to be really different. "Yunman, if he doesn't eat, I will." Ha ha ha. While she was thinking, a fat hand suddenly reached out, grabbed the roast chicken directly, and stuffed it into her mouth. "Zhao Mingshen, this belongs to my young master, how dare you snatch it away? How many times have I told you not to call me Yunman? I don't know you well." Su Yunman didn't expect that the roast chicken was snatched away by the class scoundrel while she was in a daze, and she stood up in anger. "Yunman, do you want to reconsider my previous proposal? Quit your job as a servant in the Li family and follow me. I guarantee that your life will be 100 times better than it is now." "And that idiot Li Chengyu." Before Zhao Mingquan finished his last sentence, he was slapped hard in the face. This slap was so loud that it completely suppressed the noise of other people in the classroom. The power of this slap was not small. Zhao Mingquan, who weighed 180 pounds, was directly slapped out and knocked down 3 tables in a row. All the classmates were stunned. They were not surprised that Zhao Mingquan was beaten. In the past, when some people bullied Li Chengyu too much, they were attacked by Su Yunman, but this time was different. It was not the class beauty Su Yunman who beat people, but Li Chengyu himself. This honest guy who used to do everything submissively would actually beat people. Everyone showed extremely shocked faces. "Li Chengyu, I'm going to kill you." Zhao Mingquan struggled to stand up from the middle of the table full of books, roaring in great anger. Everyone looked at him and saw a clear slap mark on his left cheek. Even half of his face was swollen. "Pa!" Another loud slap sounded. This time it was Li Chengyu who attacked again, but this time he did not continue to slap the left cheek, but slapped Zhao Mingquan on the right cheek. Hua la la. Accompanied by the sound of the desk tilting and books falling, he was slapped away again. "Woo woo. How dare you hit me? I'll tell the teacher." Zhao Mingquan had never suffered such a blow before. In the past, when he was at home, he was held in the palm of his hand every day, and no one dared to touch him. When he was slapped for the first time, he was already in so much pain that he couldn't stand it. He just endured the pain and wanted to get back at his classmates in order not to lose face, but before he could make a move, he was slapped for the second time. Suddenly, Zhao Mingquan's mentality could no longer bear it and he completely collapsed. The 180-pound fat man cried like a tearful man and ran out of the classroom like a gust of wind. Young master. Su Yunman was a little worried. In the past, she had fought several times in school for Li Chengyu, but every time she fought, she was careful and never hit so hard. After all, the students who go to school here are basically born rich or noble. It's not good to be too heavy-handed, even if you have the support of the Li family, and it's okay. Zhao Mingshen first robbed me of my roast chicken worth 999 yuan in public, and then insulted me verbally. He deserved to be beaten this time. Even if the principal came, we are right. Li Chengyu beat him, but he was still very calm and comforted his maid. If he hadn't planned to live a quiet and enjoyable life in this world, the fat man would have been gone. Now he just slapped Zhao Mingshen twice, which showed his kindness. Li Chengyu rubbed his palm on his clothes, feeling that he was really heavy and greasy. Then he sat back in his seat. The desks that Zhao Fatty knocked down just now were not his, but those of other students in the class. Well, if this kind of thing Happened in the past, these students would have come forward to argue with him, but this time, maybe Li Chengyu changed too much, or maybe his attack was too heavy, which completely stunned the students. They silently lifted their desks, picked up books, and sat down in their seats. It seemed that they had not recovered from the incident just now. Li Chengyu, come to my office. Only 3 minutes later, the voice of the head teacher Hu Yuzhou came from outside, and behind him, Zhao Mingshan followed with his cheeks bulging, but now his eyes were swollen, probably because he cried too sadly just now, and there were traces of tears on his face. Li Chengyu stood up with a smile and walked out of the classroom. Master, I will go with you. Su Yunman also stood up, wanting to solve this matter with him. No, I will be back soon. Li Chengyu pushed her back to her seat and walked out of the classroom alone. Hu Yuzhou looked at the student coming towards him, with a very surprised look in his eyes. Just now, Zhao Mingshan came to the office crying and reported to him that Li Chengyu hit him. He didn't believe it at all and thought it was most likely a prank by Zhao Mingshan. How could the most honest and obedient student in the class hit someone? Only you, the uneducated second generation, would tease him. Chapter 4. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Hu Yuzhou didn't believe that Li Chengyu would hit someone, but looking at Zhao Mingquan's swollen cheek and the 2 clear palm prints on his cheek, he had to come to find out what happened. The prank shouldn't be so big, right? It looks like it hurts, so he took Zhao Mingquan to the classroom, intending to call Li Chengyu to the office first and ask him about it. Even with the 2 palm prints as evidence, he still didn't believe that Li Chengyu hit Zhao Mingquan. But now, Hu Yuzhou looked at the honest student who walked out of the classroom calmly, and he hesitated in his heart. This Li Chengyu seemed different from before, but what was different? It was still the previous clothes and hairstyle. Did the eyes change? The walking posture changed? The temperament changed? Old Hu looked at him for a while, then turned and walked towards his office. No matter how he changed, he was still his student, so he had to find out the beating incident first. Li Chengyu. Zhao Mingshan said you beat him. Do you have anything to explain? In the class teacher's office, Hu Yuzhou, Li Chengyu, and Zhao Mingshan stood in 3 different positions. Among them, who was the shortest, only 1.7 meters tall, then there was Zhao Mingquan, who weighed 180 kilograms. He was 1.75 meters tall, but because he was too round, his height was not very prominent. Li Chengyu is currently 1.85 meters tall and has a very well-proportioned figure. If you roll up your shirt, you can still see a beautiful body of muscle lines. In the past 18 years, he has been practicing the I am the only one in the world skill all the time, allowing the true essence to circulate in his body. This will not only improve his cultivation level, but also make his body develop in the direction of perfection. Whether it is height, figure, or appearance, it is the same. If Li Chengyu had not been too dull in his life in the past, and his eyes were not full of energy, I am afraid he would be the object of admiration for all women. But even so, the girls in the class would often secretly glance at him. Well, I beat Zhao Mingquan. Because he not only robbed me of a roast chicken worth 999 yuan. At the same time, he also verbally insulted me. Li Chengyu did not deny the fact that he beat someone, and said with a smile, but his statement really made the head teacher, Lao Hu, a little stunned for a while. Was Zhao Mingquan really beaten by the most honest student in this class? And the blow was so heavy. Li Chengyu, where did I verbally insult you? Aren't you just a fool? Hu Yuzhou hadn't spoken yet, but Fatty Zhao on the side couldn't help it. Perhaps he thought that the head teacher was next to him and he could be fearless, so he directly refuted. Pa! Another crisp slap sound, and Zhao Mingquan was also slapped to the ground, and the slap mark on his left cheek that had not completely disappeared became clear again. The slap was very precise, perfectly covering the previous handprint. Woo woo woo. Teacher, he hit me again. You must take care of me. This time, because the office was relatively spacious, Fatty Zhao did not knock over any tables or chairs when he fell to the ground. He just lay on the ground, crying again, even more bitterly than before. After all, the new injury hit the old injury, and it was much more painful than before. Teacher, look. Student Zhao Mingquan insulted me again. Hu Yuzhou was also confused by the scene in front of him. In the past, no student dared to beat someone in front of him on campus. Although the students in Chengyu Middle School are indeed rich or noble, this school also has a deep background. It was jointly founded by 18 top families in the entire Magic City. It aims to better educate the next generation and let the family pass on better. At the beginning of the establishment of the campus, the 18 top families had jointly stated that all problems that occurred on campus would be strictly handled in accordance with the school rules. If a student does not abide by the school rules and causes serious consequences, the student will be expelled directly, and the family behind the student will be suppressed by everyone. It is precisely because of this that the students of Chengyu Middle School, no matter how spoiled they are at home, must behave well when they come to school. You can play by yourself, but don't drag others down. Even if there is a conflict with a classmate, the conflict will be controlled to a certain extent. Otherwise, when you return home, you will be severely punished by the family. In addition to the 18 top families in the Magic City, Chengyu Middle School also has many other wealthy and powerful small and medium-sized families. In order to allow their children to get on good terms with the heirs of the top families, at the same time, it also allows the younger generations to receive the best education. They also compete to get their children here to study. This also means that the school never has to worry about the number of students. There are more than 1,000 students in the 3 grades of high school alone. Zhao Mingquan, please say less. Li Chengyu, you are too heavy-handed. When Lao Hu saw this situation, he knew the whole story. The cause was Zhao Mingquan, who was rude, and was beaten by Li Chengyu. In fact, according to Li Chengyu's previous style of doing things, even if the roast chicken was robbed or he was called stupid, he would probably just treat it as a gust of wind and let it go. But today's Li Chengyu has obviously changed, and this Zhao Mingquan became the first victim of this change. He was slapped several times in a row, and he was not in the right at all. As a class teacher, he really had a headache facing this situation. If you want to speak from Li Chengyu's perspective, Zhao Mingquan was really beaten up. If you want to speak from Zhao Mingquan's perspective, this is the result of his bad mouth. He had to smooth things over. Otherwise, if the situation gets out of hand, none of the 3 will have a good ending. You are all in the 3rd year of high school now, so you should focus on your studies. Only in this way can you live up to your parents and better inherit the family business. Old Who looked sad and taught earnestly. Teacher, I don't accept it. I don't think I'm wrong. I want to make a bet with Li Chengyu. It just so happens that tomorrow is the penultimate monthly exam for senior high school students, and I want to compete with him. If his grades are better than mine in this exam, I will slap myself 3 times and apologize to him. But if Li Chengyu's grades are worse than mine, let him shout 3 times in front of the whole class that he is a fool, and also slap himself 3 times. Zhao Mingquan still didn't get up at this time, lying on the ground and sobbing. Hu Yuzhou found that although this fat man Zhao was fat, he was quite cunning in doing things. After being beaten several times and knowing that he was no match for Li Chengyu, he began to want to get back in other ways. Chapter 5. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. You should know that although Zhao Mingquan is not very serious in his studies, his grades are not bad. Although he looks fat and big-eared, he was born in a big family after all, with good genes and high IQ. Just listening in class can learn a lot of knowledge. In addition, after returning home, there may be someone to tutor him. He can basically get about 110 points on a test paper with a score of 150 on weekdays, compared with the students in the first 12 classes of Chengyu Middle School. This score is of course nothing, but in class 313, it is quite good, and it has been maintained at the top level for a long time. In comparison, Li Chengyu is much worse. Even if he listens carefully in class every day and always completes the homework assigned by the teacher on time, but in the exams one after another, he has never passed the 90-point pass line, and has been maintained at the level of 60 or 70 for a long time. In addition, his behavior is dull on weekdays, so he is laughed at as a fool by many people in the class. Okay, that when the head teacher, Lao Hu, thought that Li Chengyu would reject Zhao Mingquan's proposal, he didn't expect that he would agree directly. Then he turned around and left the office and walked towards the classroom. Could it be that Li Chengyu's personality and fighting ability have changed, and even his academic performance has changed? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Learning not only requires talent, but also requires daily accumulation. Judging from Li Chengyu's previous learning situation, although he did work hard, he didn't really learn and understand much knowledge. The exam will start tomorrow. even if he suddenly gets enlightened now, it's too late to accumulate more. Hu Yuzhou shook his head, looked at Li Qingyu's back, and denied his idea. Then why did he agree to this fight? Master, did the head teacher make things difficult for you? Li Qingyu returned to the classroom at the ringing of the class bell and sat back in his seat with a calm face. The maid Su Yunman next to him asked anxiously. Don't worry, Lao Hu didn't make things difficult for me. And Fatty Zhao will slap himself again in a few days and apologize to me. He comforted Su Yunman. Li Qingyu didn't take tomorrow's exam seriously at all. In the past, he had shrunk most of his mental consciousness and concentrated on practicing the I am the only one in heaven and earth, but the content he had seen and heard in the past still remained in his mind, but he couldn't summarize and organize what he had learned before. Now, Li Qingyu only needs to find out and understand the various memories he had learned in the past, and with his cultivation in the foundation building period of the immortal way and his extremely powerful mental consciousness, he could complete this task easily. In just less than half an hour, he filtered all the content he had learned from elementary school to high school after his reincarnation this time. In the first 18 years of his life, Li Qingyu was a very good boy. Even though his academic performance was not very good, he really worked hard. He not only read the textbooks again and again, but also took various tutoring classes after class. It was just that his memory and comprehension abilities were too poor, which led to his poor grades, but now, whether it was the textbook knowledge or the previous tutoring, he had mastered them all. If he took the exam under the current situation, Li Qingyu thought that as long as the questions on the test paper were not beyond the scope, then he thought that it would not be a problem for him to get more than 140 points on the 150-point test paper. In addition, during the past 999 reincarnations, Li Qingyu also experienced more than a dozen parallel worlds similar to the current plane. In these worlds, he also had the experience of becoming a scholar and professor. Although the worlds are different, Li Qingyu found that most of the learning content in the current world is connected with the various knowledge in the parallel world by recalling the knowledge he learned in the past 18 years, so no matter what the content of tomorrow's exam is, he is quite stable. In fact, in addition to experiencing parallel planes similar to the current world, Li Qingyu has also reincarnated into some planes with highly developed technology. With the gradual improvement of science and technology, general technological planes can be divided into planetary civilization, stellar civilization, galaxy civilization, cosmic civilization, dimensional civilization, etc. The strongest technological plane that Li Qingyu has reincarnated in the past has developed into galaxy civilization. People can easily travel between different galaxies, easily collect resources from different planets, flexibly use various energies in the galaxy, etc. Even people's lifespan has been greatly improved through scientific means. The plane where Li Qingyu is currently located is only the initial level of planetary civilization. It is still mainly jumping around within the planet, and even some natural disasters on the native planet have not been completely subdued. Well, there is still a lot of room for improvement in the future science and technology of this world. But it is also okay for entertainment and enjoyment, but that's all. When Li Qingyu reincarnated into similar parallel worlds in the past, he tried to make those future high-tech knowledge to promote the great development of planetary civilization. It was just that at the beginning, it did allow him to gain a good status in those planes and was sought after and supported by the whole world. But Li Qingyu also found that the uneven development of scientific level can easily lead to the collapse of some systems in the plane. And if you want to make all the future technologies, it would be too tiring, and he alone can't achieve it. In addition, the greed of human heart is endless. There are always some countries and forces who want to put him under house arrest so that they can study various technologies for their own forces, thereby suppressing and annexing other forces. Faced with such a situation, Li Qingyu, of course, killed a lot of people. All the forces that dared to be hostile to him, as well as the leaders behind them, were wiped out. Kill them until blood flowed like a river. Kill other forces with the same idea so that they would be scared. Then find a beautiful place to live in seclusion and not care about worldly affairs. Later, when Li Qingyu reincarnated again in a similar technological world, he would never be so smart as to do things ahead of time. It's okay to be ahead of time, but you can only be half a step ahead of the times and make your life more comfortable. As for the rest, there's no need to think too much. Ding-ling-ling. Another pleasant bell sounded in the campus. So far, the morning classes have all ended. Su Yunman packed up her books and left the classroom with Li Chengyu, heading towards the school cafeteria. Chapter 6. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. As the top aristocratic middle school in Shanghai, the school's cafeteria is very large and the decoration is quite luxurious. There are 3 floors, and each floor has a wide variety of food, fruits, vegetables, bread, meat, seafood, etc. Everything is available, and the quality is quite high. Students only need to swipe their cards to take them. Of course, the price is quite expensive. Li Chengyu randomly selected a large lobster, a piece of beef, a few side dishes and rice, and spent nearly 1,000 yuan. Su Yunman only selected a piece of beef, 2 vegetables and a bowl of rice, but even so, it also cost more than 200 yuan. As Li Chengyu's companion, all the expenses in the school were reimbursed by her family, and the money in the meal card has never been less than 100,000, but Su Yunman is not very particular about eating, as long as she can eat enough. The two found an empty table and sat down opposite each other, and began to swallow big mouthfuls. Not only Li Chengyu eats very fast, but Su Yunman also does the same. Although she has a ponytail and looks pretty, but she also consumes a lot of food from practicing Chinese martial arts every day, and has developed the habit of eating big mouthfuls since she was a child. Su Yunman's father, Su Juanheng, is a Chinese martial arts master who has reached the peak of dark energy. He is also the patriarch of the Su family, and he can be ranked in the martial arts world of China. It is only because the Li family has been very kind to the Su family in the early years that they became vassals of the Li family and even willing to be servants. Li Chengyu's father, Li Zi, and his personal bodyguard, Su Jifu, are from the Su family and are also Su Yunman's uncle. Su Jifu is a top-ranked master of the Su family and is currently in the early stage of dark energy. The Su family has helped the Li family a lot over the years. The Li family can become a top-ranked family in the entire Magic City, and it is inevitable that they have cut off all kinds of thorns in the dark. Of course, the Li family also gave back to the Su family, and every year they gave the Su family a lot of resources and rewards. Su Yunman has been practicing Chinese martial arts with her father since she was a child, and with her outstanding talent, she became a master of Ming Jin at the age of only 18. On the road of cultivation, there are many levels to be overcome one by one. They are the body refining stage, the qi refining stage, the foundation building stage, the golden elixir stage, the primordial infant stage, the spirit transformation stage, the spirit refining stage, the virtual training stage, the return to the virtual stage, the fusion stage, the Mahayana stage, and the tribulation stage. The body refining stage can be further divided into Ming Jin, and Jin, Hua Jin, and Dan Jin. The qi refining stage can be further divided into acquired and innate. Once you break through the innate, it means that you have officially embarked on the journey of cultivating immortals, started to build the foundation for the immortal path, and entered the foundation building stage. However, the spiritual energy in this world is too scarce. Based on Li Chengyu's experience in various parallel worlds and the various information he learned in this plane, those who can cultivate to the dark energy stage can already be called top masters. The above stage of transformation energy is called the master, who is admired by the whole martial arts world, but these masters of transformation energy are generally old, and basically stay at home in their respective families to enjoy their old age. As for the great master of Dan energy, only during the war 100 years ago, someone broke through in the battles with various enemies. Acquired realm. Well, that can only exist in the ancient martial arts world. Su Yunman can officially enter the bright energy stage at the age of 18, which is quite remarkable. Among the rising stars in the whole martial arts world, she is quite eye-catching. After all, many inheritors of martial arts families have not even touched the threshold of bright energy when they are in their 20s or 30s. From this, we can see how hard her current achievements are. However, Li Chengyu's cultivation level in the foundation building period is completely a bug in this plane. He has reached the theoretical extreme value that can be cultivated in this world. This is because Li Chengyu has rich experience in cultivation, and has a strong spiritual consciousness cultivated by reincarnation many times, and has reached a very high level in the immortal way. In addition, he practices the top-level technique, the only one in the world. Otherwise, if it were other peerless geniuses, it would be the best to be able to improve their cultivation to the innate realm in this world. The biggest possibility is that they will always stay in the acquired realm and spend their lives in a mess. Of course, peerless geniuses are not so easy to be born, it's rare to see one in 100 years. Li Chengyu, who is in the foundation building period, has cultivated to the pinnacle of this plane, and it is difficult to make any breakthroughs. All he can do is to stay in the foundation building realm, constantly consolidate the foundation and lay the foundation, until his lifespan is exhausted in building the supreme foundation, then reincarnate to other planes and seek new breakthroughs. As for climbing to a higher level in this plane, there is hope only when the spiritual energy is revived, but how is it possible? The probability of spiritual energy revived is too small, and Li Chengyu dare not even think about it. Alas! Young man, I told you to leave Li Chengyu a long time ago. Look at you, you eat so frugally again. Why is this? Looking good means being harassed easily. During the meal between Li Chengyu and Su Yunman, another student came to defend her. Judging from his appearance alone, this person is far from being comparable to the previous fatty Zhao. The other party is about 1.88 meters tall, with knotted muscles all over his body, which bulges his clothes. Li Chengyu quickly recognized the other party's identity through his past memories. His name is Wu Qixing, a celebrity in the entire Chengyu middle school. Not only is he a good basketball player, but his academic performance is also among the best in the entire senior year. At the same time, his Wu family is one of the 18 top families in the Magic City, and his background is no worse than Li Chengyu. This also makes Wu Qixing the object of admiration for many girls in Chengyu Middle School. Get lost. Li Chengyu doesn't care about the other party's background. He just wants to enjoy the lobster on the plate quietly. You. When Wu Qixing heard this word, he was immediately angry. From childhood to adulthood, few people dared to be so rude to him. He looked at Li Chengyu, wanting to teach him a hard lesson, but he was suddenly surprised to find that the other party's eyes were glowing green. Where am I? What should I do now? After Wu Qixing and Li Chengyu looked at each other, they instantly lost themselves. This is because he was hit by the spell of ecstasy and had completely lost consciousness, so he could only let Li Chengyu manipulate him. The art of bewitching souls is somewhat similar to the hypnosis in this plane, but it is much more overbearing and has completely departed from the scope of science, national arts, and martial arts. It is a true immortal art, and its power is naturally extraordinary. Chapter 7. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Although Li Chengyu's current strength is only at the foundation building stage, he has barely stepped into the threshold of the immortal path. However, the pure spiritual consciousness he can use is enough to match the Jindan stage, and even catch up with the Yuanying stage, so he can easily use this soul bewitching technique. The soul bewitching technique used by Li Chengyu, let alone Wu Qixing, is just an ordinary young man with a strong body. Even if he is an innate master, he will not have any resistance. In Su Yunman's surprised eyes, Wu Qixing, who was about to get angry, suddenly calmed down. Then he left her and the young master's table step by step, and walked towards another table dozens of meters away, and on that table, there was an extremely eye-catching girl eating. The whole table belonged to her alone, and it was piled with food, and all of it was various meats, and there was no vegetarian dish to be seen. Her weight was at least more than 300 kilograms. Compared with her, Fatty Zhao from class 313 was simply a small witch compared to a big witch, and now she was using both hands to stuff all kinds of meat into her mouth. Her name was Tian Suan, and she was also well known in the entire Chengyu Middle School, although her eating posture looked a little scary, like a starving ghost reincarnated, but her family background could beat most of the students in Chengyu Middle School. Tian Suan came from the Qian family, the richest family in the Magic City. The strength of the Li family where Li Chengyu was from was slightly inferior to that of the other party. As a campus celebrity, Wu Qixing's actions naturally attracted the attention of the people around him. Under the attention of everyone, he slowly came to Tian Suan, who had already eaten a lot of food. Then he looked at each other affectionately. This operation made Tian Suan, whose mouth was stuffed with all kinds of meat, stunned, and she also stared at him blankly. She had no idea what Wu Qixing, a handsome guy, wanted to do with her. Si Miao. I love you. Will you be my girlfriend? Wu Qixing's loud and affectionate confession shocked the entire cafeteria. Everyone stopped eating and looked at this campus celebrity, completely stunned. I didn't expect that Wu Qixing, with thick eyebrows and big eyes, would have such a taste. No wonder he ignored me in the past. Some girls even seemed to hear the sound of their own heartbreak. Yuan e. Qian Simiao's answer broke the silence of the cafeteria. She didn't have time to swallow the various meats in her mouth, so she shouted vaguely, fearing that this hard-won opportunity to get out of being single would pass away. Si Miao. It's great to have you. Wu Qixing looked at the female classmate in front of him who weighed more than 300 pounds without blinking, bending down, hugging the other's round head, and kissing her affectionately. Ugh. 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 There was a nauseating sound all around. The affection between the two of them was too much for the other students to bear. It was mainly because Qian Simiao had been eating too much before. Not only was her face full of grease, but her cheeks were also filled with all kinds of meat. The other students around her vomited just thinking about kissing such a woman, but Qian Simiao was different from the others. She was immersed in her own happiness. My first kiss is gone. Is this the taste of love? I didn't expect it to be even better than the pleasure brought by meat. She stretched out her arm with fat hanging on it and hugged Wu Qixing's head tightly, without paying any attention to the horrified eyes of other students in the cafeteria. She also ignored the various meats in her mouth that she had not swallowed. What happened to me? As Li Chengyu stopped the spell of bewitching, Wu Qixing's eyes suddenly widened, and he finally came to his senses, looking at the big face in front of him, feeling the meat residue in his mouth, and the greasy feeling of his hands inserted into someone's scalp. He felt that the situation was quite bad. Wu Qixing's pupils contracted sharply, and his head suddenly tilted back. He wanted to step back so that he could see who the person in front of him was. Unfortunately, his head was firmly held by the person in front of him, and he failed to step back twice. With a tonnage of more than 300 kilograms, strength is not a joke. But the continuous actions finally made Wu Qixing completely sober. He shook his head frantically, then supported his hands on the other's shoulders, and with a sudden force, he finally broke free. Pooh! 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 He spat several times to the side and spit out most of the meat residue in his mouth. As for the remaining meat residue, it's quite stubborn. If I don't rinse my mouth with water, I'll probably have to swallow it myself. Qian Simiao. When Wu Qixing finally felt better in his mouth, he looked up and looked at the girl he had just kissed, but he found that she was not a girl at all, but a mountain of meat. Ugh! 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 Although Wu Qixing hadn't had time to eat lunch at noon, but when he found out that the person he had just kissed was Qian Simiao, who weighed more than 300 pounds, and he had kissed a mouthful of meat residue, he vomited out his breakfast in the morning. Dear! What's wrong with you? Is the food in the cafeteria not to your liking today? I'll get you a portion of beef later. The beef is pretty good. I've already eaten 3 portions today. Wu Qixing was vomiting vigorously. His new girlfriend came over, patted his back gently, and soothed him softly. Ugh! 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 Wu Qixing, who had almost vomited out, started to vomit again after hearing her voice, and waved his hands repeatedly. I don't know if he was saying no more or admitting defeat and surrendering to the other party. Master, what's wrong with Wu Qixing? Su Yunman put down the chopsticks in her hand. She had almost finished eating just now. As for the remaining food, she had lost her appetite completely after being mixed up by these 2 influential figures on campus, so she simply didn't eat it. With a girl's intuition, Su Yunman thought that what happened just now was related to her master. Wu Qixing turned around and left after making the master unhappy with his words just now. Then he did something that shocked the students in the entire school cafeteria. Who knows what happened to him? Maybe Wu Qixing finally faced his appetite and found true love. Didn't you see how passionately he kissed just now? Li Chengyu answered the maid's doubts without raising his head, still chewing lobster. Chapter 8. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Although the scene in the cafeteria just now made everyone lose their appetite to continue eating, but Li Chengyu was different. In the past 999 reincarnations, he had seen worse situations than just now, but he could still eat happily. Dear. Why are you still vomiting? Ah. You are starting to vomit green bitter bile. I feel so sorry. I'll take you to the infirmary. Wu Qixing, who was vomiting wildly, looked weak, unable to explain and struggled too much. He was carried out of the cafeteria by Tian Suan, who weighed more than 300 kilograms. Facts have proved that love is great. Wu Qixing is not small, but he was forcibly carried out by his new girlfriend, and he couldn't even break free. What a pity, after eating and drinking. Chengyu casually took a few tissues from the table, wiped his mouth, and walked out of the cafeteria with Su Yunman. You go back to the classroom first, I want to take a walk alone. Standing at the entrance of the cafeteria, he said to her. Master, I'll go with you. No need. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Chengyu looked at her worried look and added another sentence. Okay. Su Yunman looked at him seriously, bit her lip, and finally agreed. Master is indeed different. Chengyu nodded at her, then found a direction at random and walked forward. Although it is in the magic city where every inch of land is valuable, the area of Chengyu Middle School is not small. The various furnishings and landscapes inside are quite low-key and meaningful. If you exclude the basketball court, football field, various teaching buildings and sports equipment, this place is more like a unique and elegant park. 3 years of junior high school, and 3 years of high school are coming soon. Although Chengyu has been in Chengyu Middle School for nearly 6 years, he has never had a good look around the campus. In the past 18 years, he has been practicing with all his heart, leaving this body with only basic living abilities. Apart from listening to his parents' teachings and trying to live the way they want him to be, he has no hobbies at all, and is not interested in other things around him. But from today, everything has changed. After Chengyu strolled around the campus, more than half an hour had passed. Adding the time for eating before, it was not far from the afternoon class. He returned to the classroom and sat down in his seat. Master, did you make a bet with Zhao Mingshan? Compete for the final results of this monthly exam. Seeing that Chengyu finally came back, Su Yunman asked anxiously. Yes, how did you know? He looked at her curiously. Zhao Mingshan said it himself. It has spread throughout the class. He said he made a bet with you. If you do worse than him in this monthly exam, then you need to shout 3 times in front of the whole class that you are a fool and slap yourself 3 times. Su Yunman was really anxious. She couldn't understand why the young master agreed to such a bet. What kind of academic performance is he? Don't he have any idea in his mind? Young master, I spent some time at noon to organize my notes during this period. Take it and have a look first. Then I will select the questions that may appear in this monthly exam. I hope I can provide you with some help. Su Yunman handed him a few thick class notes. On these notebooks, some of the page corners were folded up, indicating that the pages needed to be recited and understood. Did Zhao Mingshan say what kind of punishment he would receive if his score in the monthly exam was worse than mine? Chengyu did not take Su Yunman's notes, but asked again. That's not the case. Su Yunman frowned and said. Tsk. Chengyu smiled with the corners of his mouth, then stood up and walked towards Zhao Mingkuan's seat. After he was slapped a few times in the morning, he never returned to the classroom to attend classes. He should have gone to the infirmary to reduce the swelling. His face has improved a lot now, and there are not many traces of the previous beating. Chengyu, what do you want? Seeing his arrival, Zhao Mingkuan shrank his neck. His cheek, which had almost healed, seemed to be a little painful again. Zhao Mingshan, I understand why you publicized our bet in class. But why did you only talk about the consequences I would have to bear if I lost? But you didn't mention the consequences you would have to bear if you lost. Chengyu looked down at him, and a strong momentum rushed towards him. He suddenly felt like a mouse seeing a cat, and his blood suppressed fear. I forgot to say it just now, and now I will supplement it to everyone. Zhao Mingshan originally wanted to be stubborn. You still want to beat me in tomorrow's monthly exam? Are you dreaming? But when he felt the momentum emanating from Chengyu, he instantly became timid and quickly changed his words. Yeah. Then you can supplement it now. Li Chengyu just looked at him, waiting for his next move. Zhao Mingshan's lips trembled again and again, not knowing whether he was brewing emotions or really felt it was difficult to speak, but when he saw Li Chengyu's eyes, he thought of the 3 loud slaps in the morning. If Li Chengyu's grades are better than mine in this monthly exam, then I will slap myself 3 times and apologize to him. Zhao Mingshan finally shouted loudly. Ha ha ha. It's really funny. Fatty Zhao, what's wrong with you? Are you scared by the beating? Zhao Mingshan, do you think your results this time are not as good as Li Chengyu's? Fatty Zhao, don't deliberately let yourself go in tomorrow's exam. Hitting yourself may not be less severe than being beaten. The classmates in the classroom burst into laughter when they heard Zhao Mingshan's words. But they don't think that Fatty Zhao will lose in tomorrow's monthly exam, unless he lets himself go hard. He may not be able to pass the exam better than Li Chengyu, one of the last students in the class, although because of Zhao Mingquan's experience this morning, everyone will no longer say that Li Chengyu is a fool, worried that they will also be slapped, but in everyone's heart, they always think that he is a fool. Zhao Mingquan heard the teasing in the class and clenched his fists tightly. Feeling embarrassed in front of his classmates again, originally, he was worried that Li Chengyu would cheat and refuse to admit his defeat in the exam, so when he returned to the classroom at noon, he first publicized the bet between the 2 parties and told everyone to make it a fait accompli. Who knew that Li Chengyu would humiliate him again in front of everyone?